Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I have a DIY on some face masks. I'm sat here on my chair and I cannot resist just spinning around on it. Really quite enjoying being on front of the camera. Don't really like seeing my face that much, but I'm really enjoying talking to someone because it's like, I don't know, week 8, week 9 of isolating, quarantine, lockdown, and today we have finally been advised to be wearing a face mask out in certain situations in the UK. So I figured today I would make myself some so that I'm locked and loaded for when I eventually go out into some stores and live my best life buying some craft supplies. So I made 3 designs today, just suited on my outfits that I usually wear. I decided to make them a little bit more cute and fun because at the end of the day they are cloth masks. They're not going to protect me against anything, but they are going to give reassurance to others. And whilst I'm giving reassurance to others in the fact that if I am carrying any sort of infectiousness, that they're also fun to look at as well, so I thought that would be kind of fun. So I've done a cowprint one, I've done an alien style one, and I've done like a little Karila Kuma kind of bear one, which I really like. All 3 of them are definitely suited to the outfits that I usually wear, so hopefully you can take away a little bit of inspiration, maybe make yourself some face masks, face coverings if you feel like it, and then jazz them up a little bit. And yeah, so I actually started off making the green one like without a pattern. Then I found a pattern online, and actually the pattern's really good, and I've made a few more using that pattern, so I'll leave that down in the description if you want to check that out, because to be honest I would just go by that. It's brilliant. It's a free pattern. Don't go by that, like go by the instructions on that, like don't buy it because it's free. But yeah, so for the first mask I'm going to show you is the cow mask one, just because I use the same pattern on this as the other one. So using the template, you want to cut out 4 equal parts, and then you want to stitch along the curved side of 2 pieces at a time. So you want to lay out 2 pieces of the pattern down on each other, sewing around that curved edge using the sewing machine on both parts, so that you're left with 2 identical pieces. What you want to do, which I found to make it easier, is turn one of the pieces the right side's way around, pushing out of the seams and then placing it down onto a surface. You want to place the other piece kind of the raw edges out, just so that like the seams and stuff are facing the right way. So you'll have one with the kind of raw edge facing one way, one with the raw edge facing the other way. Just easier to get my head around doing it this way. It may be a help to you. So once you have your pieces laid on top of each other, you'll then want to go back over to your sewing machine and stitch along like the top and the bottom, so along that wavy edge and along the straight edge on the bottom. For my sewing machine, I'm just using a standard straight stitch, just the like normal kind of straight stitch. You can use whatever kind of thickness of stitch that you want to. Once you have that bit stitched, you then want to take the kind of piece of fabric and then turn it right sides way around using one of the ends that you didn't sew. You then want to pull all the fabric down into shape, start moulding out your mask using the fabric, and then iron it down just to make it nice and neat. To add elastic to mine, I'm taking these small thin bits of elastic and then just really securely stitching them down using a kind of sewing machine again, going back stitching and stuff along each end of the elastic, and I'm doing the same on both ends so that it loops around. To make sure that this is nice and neat, what I then did was took the ends and rolled it a couple of times, making sure that all of the raw edges were then attached in, and then I just stitched that down and making sure to pull the elastic loop outwards so that it's facing the right way. Again, I'm back stitching a couple of times to go over that, just to make sure that my elastic is not going anywhere and it's fully secure. By this point I've probably stitched over the elastic around about 20 times to making sure it's fully secure on there. To make sure my mask is as neat as possible, what I did was I top stitched the whole entire thing. You don't have to do this, but I think this gives the most professional finish. Once the mask was then completed, I was then set to decorate. So as you guys know, I made this one into a cow print one, which is why I made it into white. I would recommend at least decorating one side if you're going to be using the same like coloured fabric, just because you want to differentiate between the outside of the mask and the inside of the mask for future reference. So I love this, how this mask has turned out. This is how it looks on. I am absolutely in love, and it's probably my favourite out of all 3, I'm not gonna lie. So I should point out at this point actually that I am using 100% cotton fabrics that have already been pre-washed. Because I intend to wash these, I don't want them to shrink. So I have washed the fabric before making them. For the kind of designs on it, you obviously want to make that washable as well, because you want your cloth mask to be reusable. That's the point of making them. You want it to be able to wash. So what I would probably recommend is just straight up buying a fabric paint. This is the one that I used for this specific mask. It's the Tulip Slick in the colour black. Wow, would help if it was focused on it, but this is specifically made for fabrics. You need to leave it for 72 hours so that it can, I don't know, fully cure, that sort of stuff. If you don't have that, however, I would recommend using a very thin layer of acrylic. If you've ever worked with acrylic before, you will know that when it dries, you cannot wash it out of anything. One that I probably would recommend is the Pabio brand. Don't know. This one here I find to be really good and a nightmare to get out of clothes if you get it on it. So yeah, would recommend this one if you can't get hold of any fabric paints, but I usually buy all of mine from Amazon anyway. And as you guys know, if you've been on my channel for a long time, I use fabric paint like more than any other paint going, so I have a lot of it and I figured I would use that. But yeah, acrylic paint if you haven't got fabric paint, and thin layers only because you don't want it to crack. Matte acrylic paints might not work so well because they're usually like water based as opposed to like more kind of shiny oily based. But yeah, I thought I'd put this in here just quickly whilst I was editing it to give you a little bit more info. So for the alien mask, I made it in the exact same way as the cow one, except one half of the fabric I used lime green and one I used in a white. So I just cut out 2 pieces in the green, stitched them together, 2 pieces in the white, and did the exact same steps over and over until I had a mask like this. To decorate this mask, I just made 3 white circles using a very thin layer of acrylic and then a tiny bit of black fabric paint to pop on the pupils of the eyes. And this is what this one looks like. I think it's so cute. It stands out so much because it's so bright. For the third mask, obviously as you guys know, I made this pink Rilakkuma bear inspired one, and this was more like the pleated mask. So to do this, I cut 2 squares of pink cotton fabric and I stitched down both sides. I then turned it this right side way round so that all the raw edges were inside and ironed it down, and then folded in both of the raw edges as well and ironed them into place. What I then did was folded it kind of like this little pleated design, put in 3 pleats into my mask, and then I pinned that down into place and then ironed all of those pleats down just to make sure that they were going to stay put. I took some pink elastic just to coordinate with the mask and I popped them in each of the kind of like end pleats, and then I went over to my sewing machine and stitched those down into place, just about 3 or 4 times going over them just to make sure that they were fully secure and that all the pleats were going to stay in place. Now this was quite hard for me because I put my mask the wrong way round in my sewing machine, so like it kept lifting up the pleats, so I went really slowly just to make sure that they were all kind of flattened and encapsulated down in my stitching. To put the face on my little mask, what I did was I actually tried it on and then I did a little bit of a dot using a pencil just to make sure that I knew where I wanted like the nose bit to be. So I took some wool felt and then cut that out into a little circle, kind of oval actually, and then taking some fabric paint again and a dotting tool, I just painted on the nose and mouth part of the little bear. I then left that to dry for I think it took about an hour actually, and then I took some fabric glue and fabric glued that down into place. I will pop back on in a second and show you like up close the kind of, you know, glue and stuff I used, but I just popped that down into place underneath that first pleat just so that when it opens up over my nose I would be able to see it better. So this is what the mask looks like on. I think it's so adorable and so cute, and that's the last one. It's me again. So just quickly before I go, because I always want to give as much information as possible. I don't know why I didn't think about this, but the wool that I used on here is actually wool that I used on here. It is wool. It's wool felt that I've used. I find that to be the most robust if needed to wash things. The glue that I used is Fabri-Tac Premium fabric glue. This is also washable and it does dry permanent bond, I think, but I did go ahead and sew over that as well, as you can see, so that's definitely not going to go anywhere when I wash it. This bit here is again the fabric paint, so that can be washed, just in case anyone is wondering. I don't know why I didn't mention that in my original kind of video bit. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. I know it was a bit kind of all over the place, but I wanted to give as much information as possible whilst still showing you how to make these cute little masks. I love them. I think they're adorable and they suit me, which is why I've made them for myself. Hopefully I can give you a little bit of inspiration just to spruce up your little face mask. Obviously these are cloth face masks. They are face coverings rather than face masks, but you kind of know what I mean, don't you? In the way that they don't have to be boring, they can just be a bit of fun as well, put a smile on other people's faces as well once you're out and about. It also does, you know, bring attention to your mask, to know that you are wearing them and taking it seriously, even though it's a bit of fun as well with these cute designs. Not that the virus is fun by any means, please don't think that I'm saying that, please don't think I'm saying you should be careless. Please stay inside as much as you can, but if you have to go out, then be sure to wear a face covering and reserve the face mask for the medical professionals that desperately need it worldwide right now. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying all of these videos that I'm posting at the moment. I will be back tomorrow with another kawaii DIY. I think it's going to be another squishy, so hopefully you'll stay tuned for that, and I will see you tomorrow for that one. So yeah, bye.